he is bombarded. Republicans are bombarded with what they believe is unfair characterizations of whatever they have going on a minute-by-minute basis, and you want them to go through a 6-8 month period?
Well, aren't you worried about a slippery slope here?
Name
yes. Aren't you worried
Name
about a slippery slope?
I've acknowledged. I don't know you. I just met you today. I don't know if you acknowledged we lost. I'd be curious to say. But if you don't acknowledge right now...
Hello, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Let's get right into this Abby Phillip CNN panel, and we'll talk about it.
Sarah Fisher joins us at the table now. She's a CNN media analyst and a senior media reporter for Axios. Sarah, first of all, the idea that the Justice Department would be pursuing defamation suits is interesting. But this is part of how Trump operates. He's been suing, just to be clear, media for a long time. He tends to lose. But back in 2016, he told the Washington Post about another lawsuit that he had brought against a reporter. I spent a couple of bucks on legal fees, and they spent a whole lot more. I did it to make his life miserable, which I'm happy about. Is that the strategy?
That's absolutely the strategy. So there was a big commotion when he appointed Brendan Carr, longtime FCC lawyer, to be the head of the FCC, that Donald Trump was going to take some sort of, regulatory action against media companies. But the reality is that's actually very hard to do. Yanking broadcast license, trying to pressure FCC commissioners to do that is very hard to do. What's easy to do, Abby, is to bully media companies, is to make their life living hell. And when you sue them for defamation, you're not just robbing them of their time and energy, you're also robbing them of legal costs, you're robbing them of morale internally, and that's definitely the playbook that he's going to pursue. And might I just say one thing? You have noted that he's tended to lose a lot of these cases, and we've seen him lose a lot of high-profile First Amendment cases, whether that was blocking people on Twitter or et cetera. What's different about these is it doesn't really matter if he wins or loses. When he wins, obviously it empowers him to go after others. I think there's no reason not to believe that the reason he's announced this today about the Des Moines Register, even though that was a poll from months ago at this point, is because he just won the $15 million ABC suit.
Right.
So if he loses, he wins. And that's why he's pursuing this strategy.
So I guess now pollsters, it's not just journalists, but pollsters
Look,
also.
I'm going to be with him on the Des Moines Register thing. I'm thinking about suing them myself. They gave me a lot of false hope myself. And I was there at this table talking about how we's going to win women because, anyway, I'm going to Scott knows it makes my eye twitch.
Co-litigant.
Makes my eye
mad
twitch.
about
But
the Des Moines
look, this
Register.
is classic Donald Trump. He wants to get out there and talk about stuff, distract, and talk about everything else. And the other thing that drives me crazy is regular folks at home. This is the brilliance of this man that I cannot stand, is that he knows what he's doing. And people agree with him. They think because he talks about it over and over again that there's something crazy going on in the media, which I know that there's not, but he does it every day.
But you know who doesn't agree with?
It's not that people believe him. It's these cultish people that believe him. There's a base of just conspiracy theorists that he's been, right? And he with the whole QAnon movement, it was the perfect remedy. And he knows that base very well. And he clings on to them and he feeds that base red meat. And then that base has forcefully spread its way into the rest of the Republican Party. If you don't go along with all the nonsense and just ever critique Trump, this is the new system he created in the Republican Party. This is not people believe them. I believe a lot of people don't believe anything he says, but they have to be part of the cult. If not, we all know what happens to you.
Them? Core conservatives have traditionally upheld the First Amendment in most cases where they are pressed on it. In fact, that's the whole TikTok debate right now, right? They want to go to the Supreme Court because they know that a conservative-led Supreme Court is much more likely to defend them on First Amendment grounds from a ban. And so one of the challenges Donald Trump has faced is you might bring this to a court and you might have it stacked with conservative judges, but conservative judges tend to side with the First Amendment on these types of things.
You just said he wins either way.
Well, he wins either way. I'll tell you this. Even if he loses a case, he wins because he gets to suck the wind out of the media companies he doesn't like.
I'm never going to argue that there's not common sense Republicans. I kind of sit here next to this guy almost every week. I make that. We can get to that point, but I'm just saying this is classic 101 Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, is he...
I think the plan is even more nefarious than that. It's to sow doubt, right? It's planting these seeds. It's the same way how he attacks immigrants. He sows these little seeds. They're dangerous. Look at the cities, they're being overrun. The economy is breaking. All these things that are complete lies, by the way. Right? And it starts to build a narrative that he tries to create. And then they all want to believe him, right? They're Republicans. They all want to believe him. They want their guy to win. They hate the other side so much that they're willing to be cultists. At least a lot of them. Some of them are true cultists.
Is he trying to intimidate the media with this strategy?
I think he is well within bounds to play the game that he thinks they're playing against him, which is to lie about him, to, you know, try to shape the narrative around him in ways that he doesn't believe are accurate. My belief is, why can't people just be precise? So look what happened to ABC. They were not precise in what they said, and you can't be so flip with this kind of serious information when we're talking about, you know, the public affairs of our country. I mean, I've been on TV over the last several years with people who I thought were really loose with their language and how they described him. I've heard it on Pete Hegseth. I've heard it a number of times. But when it comes to Republicans, it does feel like to Republicans that imprecision and, you know, maybe playing a little fast and loose with the edges of things is okay. And Republicans have been waiting for someone to come along and push back on just that that's the way we have to do it, because we don't.
But can I just...
How interesting to talk about ABC. And I know that recently happened with the journalist George Stephanopoulos. He said it was rape, or really it was civilly sexual assault, which the judge has said that it's essentially rape. It's just how they classify these things in that state, but in New York. But this is insane for him not to mention Fox, who paid billions of dollars. Well, oh no, what was it? $760 million, something like that, for spreading fake news about the election and sowing doubt. That I would say definitely caused part of the the coup attempt, right? It was all part of it. They've been sowing doubt all from the beginning, right before that day, and then after.
push back on that? So typically, if you aren't...
This is clear to me. It's meant to suppress opposition. This is why they're called fascists. This is why they're called authoritarian. And by the way, that word is hard for me to say, guys. Authoritarian. Spanish is my first language, so bear with me with some of these words.
Precise, which you're right, words matter. The order of processes here is that you send a cease and desist letter, you ask for a correction, you ask the network to make you good on air. If you go through those routes and you don't get your results, that's when you can get into defamation territory.
And by then, how many months have passed? I mean, these campaigns happen really fast. Here's the problem. He is bombarded. Republicans are bombarded with what they believe is unfair characterizations of whatever they have going on a minute-by-minute basis, and you want them to go through
Like
a 6-8 month period?
Well, aren't you worried
Like
about
what?
a slippery slope here?
Name
Yes. Aren't you worried
Name 'em.
about a
There's
slippery
one
slope
right
here?
there.
I'm on the internet every day.
He won't name them. I'll rewind a little bit there. He won't name. This is what I say if I was ever on one of these panels. I would directly pose the question. In what cases? Right? Same thing with, Trump is racist. And point out things that Trump has said that are racist and ask, is that racist? Put them on the line for those same things and have them corner them into defending this kind of nonsense. You have to corner these people and make them look foolish.
Al Gore's internet, and I see all kinds of smears against Democrats being perpetrated by the new media in conservative circles. Are those folks ready to be sued?
No, that's not what's happening here. As Scott said, it's about holding major media outlets accountable in a game that they're one-sided on, and that's the way. It's not about the money for Trump. He's not doing that. You know what he probably really wanted to get to, and what ABC didn't want him to see, and what he didn't want the public to see, that was the discovery side of it, where maybe there were emails internally talking about this and saying, well, we're going to say this, we're going to say that. That's probably the same thing with the Des Moines Register. What kind of communication was going on before that poll was released?
What about the Des Moines Register? I mean, do you really think he's going to sue over a bad poll? I mean,
It's not the poll, it's the
not the
idea
poll.
that it was done, and there are people who believe that information was shared with Democrats ahead of time to help shape the narrative. And look, we sat out here for the week before the election
Did
talking
you
about
watch
this like
the
Trump did.
January 6th hearings where it was clear that the president knew he had lost, and to this day, correct me for accuracy of words, if he has actually acknowledged he has lost the 2020 election? Like, do I get sued because I count votes? See, I acknowledge we lost in 2024, despite a poll saying we shouldn't have lost. But our president-elect doesn't. Now, you have acknowledged, I don't know you, I just met you today. I don't know if you acknowledged we lost. I'd be curious to say. But if you don't acknowledge right now what our Constitution and what the electors and what our Congress has just let 4 years of President Biden actually govern as president, if you don't say he has lost, do we get to sue you?
No, but that's not what this is about.
That's fantastic. Ashley, Allison, That's what I mean. You corner them, and you see Scott when she was talking to Scott. You could tell he was trying to think of something, and he couldn't come up with it. And he definitely doesn't want to critique Trump, because we all know what MAGA will do to you and the right wing. There's no criticism in the cultist and the fascism. There is none. You cannot go against the king. And now we got two kings with First Lady Elon Musk. And this is fantastic when Scott Jennings says, well, some people think this. This is what Republicans always say. Some people think it was done for this reason. It's you morons. It's you guys like PBD and Charlie Kirk and all these psychopaths, Candace Owens, that spew these conspiracies. And then the base believes it. And then they start to believe, oh my God, there's more to this. It's not coming up organically. You guys are pandering to them and creating this nonsense because you know it's red meat for them.
This is about
What's it about?
a major media company, ABC, has the money to defend this lawsuit. So why did they settle?
Oh, okay,
What
so
caused them to settle this lawsuit?
It's a very good question. The discovery could have absolutely been a part of it. And by the way, they could have found something in discovery that has absolutely nothing to do with it, right? It's just a matter of not wanting to get that embarrassing stuff out there. That could have been it. But I will say, in terms of, why are these media companies settling? There also could very well be this, feeling within inside media companies that you don't want to go toe-to-toe with the next president. You want to make sure that you're going to develop a friendly relationship with him for access, to make sure you're not getting kicked out of press conferences. But that, to me, is the slippery slope.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the point Ashley's making is that it doesn't just get to be Donald Trump's rules. If he sets the standard, it's going to be applied to everybody.
Yes.
Okay?
Well, not in a democracy.
And it has been. Look at Fox News.
Yeah, we'll be in a whole new world. Sarah Fisher, thank you.
Guys, we're going to leave it there, but a couple things. That's exactly it. What MSNBC did, Joe and Mika, when they went to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring for Trump, it's all about access. It's all about getting the breaking news and information before someone else so that they can put it on TV, put it online, and make money. This is what it's all about. This is why mainstream media is dangerous, because with enough money, you can have them tell your story with enough quote-unquote access. When really it's just the access they want to give you. They're not giving you the whole story. This is why independent media, YouTube is important. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. And one thing, please check out YouTube channel Political Punk. I'm going to leave his handle, if I remember, on the description here. He does similar stuff to what I do. Smaller YouTube, around the same size as I am. And yeah, we need more voices. We need our voices to get bigger and bigger and push out this nonsense. And one more thing, what they talk about is that what Scott Jennings and the other dude were saying, that Republicans feel that they're overwhelmingly getting attacked by the media more so than Democrats. Well, first off, you cannot not compare the two. The Democrats don't do nearly the things. Have you ever heard what's it called? Biden say, let's get rid of Fox News. They're enemies of the people and all this nonsense. It's just not the same vitriol. And I'm sorry, but Fox News is bigger than CNN, MSNBC, ABC combined. And the biggest people on online media are right-wingers. The top 10, the only one that wasn't was Hasanabi. He was like 8, 7, 9, something like that. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Have a great holidays, and I'll catch you in the next one.